Welcome to Lead Today with me, Kalyna. Let's talk leadership.
This episode would not be possible without Anchor. It's free and the easiest way to make a podcast. They're creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
All right, welcome to another episode of the show. I love being here with you, and if you love listening, then please like, subscribe, review, share this with someone who would benefit. It is literally what keeps this show going and growing, so I appreciate it. Today, I want to dive into a little bit about food, and what's really interesting is in my travels over the course of the past 8 years or so, been traveling for a while, and what I've realized is that the standards are very different in terms of what's allowed in food. And of course, we all have seen the rise of processed products and just more processing being done to food. And it's very interesting to see when I'm in the United States versus countries in Europe, like Switzerland or Croatia, or in Canada or in Brazil, just the differences in what's added to food products and what's allowed. And I think that it can be really, dare I say, sneaky, because it can even be the same brand and product. For example, family favorite in most restaurants and kitchens, Heinz ketchup. Heinz has corn syrup in it, high fructose corn syrup, and a variety that doesn't have it, but it has a version. The regular version in the United States has corn syrup, and that's not in the ketchup you find in Switzerland, not in the ketchup you find in Canada. So just a small example to really showcase this, and I think that's why making decisions that are best for your body are just taking more of an intentional approach than it might have, let's say 50 years ago. So one piece of advice that I really love, I got a couple years ago and I think is brilliant: shop on the outer edges of the store. So when you're in any kind of grocery store, like obviously there's some things in aisles you're just going to need, but the general rule of thumb is all the things on the back exterior walls. We're talking, produce, meats, eggs. It's like the staples. They're all on the outer walls. That was something that's interesting in the way that they do store design. A couple of concerning ingredients to look out for. These are in both vegan, vegetarian, and just regular products. One being, and it's often in almond milk. I know a lot of brands are going away from it, but you'd be surprised. It's in Ben & Jerry's ice cream. You'll find it lurking in random places. It's Carrageenan, depending on how you look at it. And so it's actually made from parts of various seaweeds, apparently. The problem is that there's actually a look into it because it thickens foods. There's a whole discussion happening about how it actually shifts the way that our body processes sugars, and it can cause insulin spikes. And there's some research around bloating, inflammation, digestive problems, and also insulin dysregulation. So you'd look out for it in nut milks, yogurts, ice cream. I think the intention is good, but I mean, this has even been featured in, Dr. Oz. And I'll post to some of the sources that talk about this, but it's got people have issues with it in the intestines, and it can really lead to a destabilization of your blood sugar. So, and an immune system response as well, which if you have any autoimmune conditions, which is your body attacking itself, then, we don't want substances that, of course, are leading to a leaky gut. And we're all hearing about the importance of the gut and gut health and probiotics. And, I feel like this is the dialogue that's up these days. But, a well-intentioned purchase has these additives. And I think if I could give an overarching rule of thumb here that I've been adhering to not perfectly, but my rule of thumb, what I have come to deduce after doing research, and there are a couple of people online that I'll link to that I think do a great job of explaining different ingredients. For me, if I look at it, and it's, right now I'm looking at honey. So I've got Florida honey, raw and unfiltered, and literally the ingredients are, ingredient is raw honey, right? So I know what that is, and I know that people have said that, and it's sort of, my husband would say this actually, okay, but some chemical ingredients are fine. Like, just because it's a chemical or just because you don't know what the ingredient is doesn't mean it's bad for you. Yes, agreed. I'm not here to debate that both my scientific knowledge of ingredients is limited and that chemical substances can be potentially either neutral or beneficial. That's fine. All I'm saying is I find that I get overwhelmed in a grocery store, and what's working for me, what's making it simpler, and what I feel good eating. So not just, okay, here's this like random abstract philosophy that she's going to simplify everything with no rhyme or reason. No, I feel better. I'm less bloated. I have less, I was having sort of, even to the point of like feeling lightheaded or sort of like out of it at times. Like, kind of like, I guess it's sort of that turkey coma, like after Thanksgiving dinner. I was feeling that after certain carbs and things. Like, I was just so tired. It was so tired and just out of it, woozy, drunk feeling. And what I've come to realize is that a lot of that has to do with insulin and your insulin spiking, and so carbs are a big thing. What kind of carbs? Depends on you. What I found is sweet potatoes are probably the best thing that I can do. Maybe some oats, like just very basic oats, and honey does seem to be fine, which is very interesting, right? Because it is sweet. So not foolproof, and not here to, I guess, espouse any sort of eating philosophy in terms of, okay, should we be vegan or vegetarian or carnivore, or, I've literally tried the gamut actually. And what I've realized is that for me, what's working is going back to basics. What is it that my great-grandmother would have been eating? What was available readily 100 years ago for humans to eat? And that's been a really interesting question. And when I go to the grocery store, which I did today, it's all around the periphery. It's eggs, it's yogurt, it's milk, and hold on, certain kinds of milk. This is a whole discussion that could be had. So many different things being added to milk depending on the brand. I would heavily caution to look at the ingredients. A lot of times, because they're being ultra pasteurized, the heat is so high that all of the natural bacteria that would normally help your body digest a great dairy product is being heated out of the equation in order to help you, is the justification. But I think we're removing something of value. Not to say that you shouldn't heat milk, but actually low temper pasteurized is an option. What's interesting is in Europe you can find raw, low temperature, high temperature pasteurized milks, real cow milk, and interestingly enough, I have way less issues if it's raw milk. So, hugely contentious topic. Never thought, I'd be on a podcast talking about cow's milk, but it's illegal in Canada to produce raw cow milk for human consumption. Many states in the US, illegal. Europe, depends where. There are farms, like in Switzerland, of course. It's literally what you would picture of Switzerland. You can go to a farm and fill up a container. It's brilliant. But no matter where you stand on the dairy discussion, I think the theme here is, what's in this? Is it the raw natural product or the whole natural product, or has it been altered in some way? And if so, how and why? And is my body responding well to it or not? I've never liked eggplant. I'll say it. Never liked eggplant. Not my thing. There's a reason. I don't do super well on nightshades. I know it's a thing. Never realized it. I can't eat peppers. Not sure. As a kid, parents would force me. I'd get like redness, face, chest. And yes, my skin is extremely sensitive, so if you're not somebody that reacts to things via skin, it could be coming up as digestive or other manifestations in the body. Or mind. Brain fog is real, and there's a huge brain-gut connection, so pay attention. And it's funny because you will notice it within, I'd say, an hour to 2 hours of eating. Like, you'll notice it, right, if it's working for you or not. A big one that everybody's talking about these days, but partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, pretty much any vegetable oil. The challenge is that the process of creating this artificial type of fat is by forcing hydrogen gas into the vegetable fats, and apparently that makes it very unstable, and it's very dangerous, and it's not a good additive. It's very cheap, but it stays fresh for a long time. Lots of restaurants are cooking with this stuff. I went to a decently fancy steakhouse and was thinking, oh, I'm gonna get a great steak, this is gonna be awesome. And I was eating by where they prepare it. It's actually a beautiful experience, but they're cooking everything with vegetable oil, doused the steaks, any of the sides, it's all doused in vegetable oils. So especially important when you're eating out. And this is meant to be, and I'm sure there are different views on this, but from what I've read so far, very inflammatory, could be the source of some of your gut and health issues. And there are studies confirming that food additives, especially colorings and things, can create those allergic reactions, as I said. Also, the risks of kidney and intestinal tumors. Inflammatory. EU countries do ban the use of something like yellow number 5, yellow number 6, some of the reds. Some of them are okay. It depends what it's made of, but there is a lot of discussion in the food space because the United States is so lax on regulations with things that are added. Something else to consider is sodium phosphate. I'll put the article into the show notes so that you have sort of all of them. Another one is evaporated cane juice. Another one that's similar to what I had said before, just it's increasing sugar. And sugar, with an increase in sugar comes obesity, heart disease, bad cholesterol, type 2 diabetes. We all know sugar, or I think it's becoming more pervasively known that sugar is not ideal. So when they're adding these types of things, I think it's just something to look at. Another one, monosodium glutamate. That one is linked to muscle weakness, headaches, nausea. That's MSG. Everybody, I think, has heard of that one, and they would say that a lot of products don't have it anymore, but they do. We talked about high fructose corn syrup, and also BHT, which is a preservative, usually in the US. Haven't seen it much in other places, but something to note because it's also used in jet fuels and rubber petroleum products, embalming fluid, interestingly, and it can cause liver damage, harmful to aquatic organisms, not ideal. Polysorbates, they're preservatives as well, can cause issues in people. Propylene glycol can cause issues. But as I've said, even red bell peppers, I've had an issue with red bell peppers. So it just depends on your body. And I think it's about looking at, okay, what is it that potentially, when you eat it, makes you feel sluggish and down. There's a reason you feel sluggish, down, brain fog, hot. Sometimes I get hot cheeks, right? There are things that sort of, after you eat, being mindful of that, I think is going to be your, and has been my best indicator. And I think if we're going to go for, again, that overarching theme, what I'd love to leave you with, other than links, which I will post in the show notes for you to actually look through some different profiles online of women that are really sharing about this in a very educated manner. Ooh, another one that I don't want to sign off. I don't want to sign off without talking about natural flavors. So they say natural flavors, but actually it can be with hydrolyzed wheat or hydrolyzed milk. There's a whole discussion around it with McDonald's, actually, their French fries, because they had a lawsuit around them being vegetarian, but they weren't because the vegetable oil was enhanced with this beef flavor. And there's just a lot going on because there's a roasting, heating of these extracts that create the flavoring. And I think what I've learned in my research is that the heating of these substances is what unstabilizes them and what makes them problematic. So the heating of some of this stuff is really to blame, if that makes sense. And I think I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention a couple of other arenas where we really need to look out for this if you're not already. And it's funny because I think people know this or think of it or kind of hear about it, but then you look at their cosmetics, you look at the supplements they take, and they're not necessarily adhering to what they know to be true. And so this is my urge to you to really look at what it is you're consuming. And that's your shampoo, that's your toothpaste, two really easy switches. Just even if you don't want to switch the one you're using right now, like, look at it. Do you not know the ingredients? Even in Whole Foods, I had a huge challenge in Whole Foods to try and find shampoo and conditioner where I knew what the ingredients were. I've actually started making my own face cleanser / moisturizer because my face is incredibly sensitive. I can deal with a lot of lotions on my skin, on my body, but not on my face. Interestingly enough, for myself, as I said, I'm sensitive. But a lot of these lotions, even sunscreens, any beauty product, makeup, hair gel, hair like shampoo, hair products, all of it is hugely important to consider because your skin absorbs so much of whatever you put on it. It's the largest organ, so definitely something to consider. And even if you are living in Europe, thanks to you for listening, by the way, but if you are in Europe, their regulations are better, but it's still not perfect. So I would really recommend to just take a look at the back of that bottle and see, do I know what this is? What is it that I do know and don't know? Is any of this alarming? There is the Environmental Working Group, I'll put a link to that, where they specialize in advocacy for different toxic chemicals and pollutants. And so you can look up they have a mobile app, you can look up any product whatsoever, which I think is really useful. So you can look up any product that you like and it'll tell you the toxicity, if it's going to disrupt your hormones. A lot of these things are preservatives because they're preserving a product, or they're anti-caking agents, or they strengthen the product. And so it's interesting because the counter argument is, well, there are restrictions on how much can be used in foods, it needs to be in safe limits, but you're not just eating that one donut, right? And you're certainly not just eating that one muffin or thing over the course of months, years. So this is like a compounding problem. It's not that you one time went and ate something packaged and now the world is ending. No, it's in everything in small doses. And so when it's in everything in small doses, it's problematic. BHT, as I mentioned before, that's hidden in desserts, dry yeast, beverages, dressings, mayo, sauces, sandwich spreads, lots of potato items like potato flakes, potato granules. You are just inundated, especially with takeout food. And I get it, we all eat out, so that's why I'm trying to bring just a bit of consciousness around this in your day if you're not already, and just give you a few quick tips on where this stuff is lurking. And I know that my sentiment around this was, wow, this is overwhelming. How am I going to eat anything ever again? You're telling me that I can't eat out, I can't use my beauty products, I can't clean. Oh, another one, cleaning products, big, like super, super intense ingredients. Even the ones that are labeled as healthy or labeled, or they have the clear packaging. Marketers are geniuses. Please, they're so brilliant. They put the right coloring and they make the bottle transparent. And so it's not like that radioactive blue color that Windex is, so you think you're safe. Just because it's clear does not mean it's safe. Read is like the name of the game on this one. And if you don't know, then don't buy it. Find an alternative. There's so many, even smaller businesses that are really taking this on, or make it yourself. Like, talk about the markup on some of these natural products. Huge, right? I mean, go buy yourself vinegar, lemon juice, put some water, and make a cleaner yourself, right? Like, not that big. If you're going to put one bottle into a spray bottle and use that, it's the same thing as combining a couple ingredients. So whether you're going to, DIY and get that thing going on your own, or buy a more natural product, all the power to you. Just watch what you're putting on your body, in your body, around your body. Air fresheners have been hugely, and that includes candles, like anything bed, Bath and Body Works. Yes. Anything from there, like artificial scents, artificial ingredients, and hugely endocrine disrupting, can cause issues in the thyroid and the whole endocrine system. So please, and if you like the scented candles, I know I love them too, but really watch out, because it's not just, okay, soy wick and make sure. Like, your air quality in your house is huge, and this might seem like, oh, I gotta change my whole life, and it's like, yeah, maybe, but maybe one thing at a time. Maybe one area at a time. Maybe just the next time you go grocery shopping, or the next time you go and buy makeup or those types of products, the next time you buy cleaning products, the next time you go to Bed Bath Body Works, maybe you don't go. Because I haven't seen a single product from there, actually. Not to bash them too hard, but what you have around your body, what you're inhaling, what you put on your skin, what's going in your body, what's around. Laundry detergent, huge, huge, huge. I mean, it's against your skin, right? Clothes, we know this. But really looking into anything that's around us, because there are actually cost-friendly options, but we really need to look for them, and they're often not in, your neighborhood Walmart, unfortunately. So being a bit of a discerning consumer, and I know that we're all leveling up our game to be, and sometimes that's exhausting. So I will post that EWG app, which is a real help. I think if you want to quickly scan an item, you can, I'm pretty sure, you can scan items in there. So that should be hugely helpful when you go about making these swaps. And I really hope you found this informative. It really makes me passionate, because I go grocery shopping now and it's like steak, milk, honey, apples, bananas, papaya, oats, sweet potatoes. Like, they're whole food items. It's not boxed, packaged, 30, 50 ingredients. And I think that's the name of the game. So if you found this valuable, please do like, share, subscribe, give this to somebody that you think could use a boost in this arena to take care of themselves and their families, because we're all doing the best we can, and sometimes we're just tired. We just don't look into it. But I assure you, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, making those small changes in this arena, I have felt personally 10 times better just in a couple days, couple hours even, depending on what meal I have, or if there's a scented candle around. It's astounding how quickly our bodies do take this in and respond. So I hope you found this helpful. I look forward to seeing you again, and thank you so much for tuning in to listen to the show.